Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did, so let's get started. Number 5 was Immaculate, making $3.2 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $11 million and a worldwide total of $12 million. So Immaculate was able to stay in the top 5 this weekend. I was a bit surprised by this given the mixed word of mouth it got from general audiences last week. I thought for sure, it would take a bigger hit than expected, but no, it's still maintained in the top 5. It's keeping audience interest high, for the movie, and because of that, and its cheap budget of around $9 million, it's already made back its budget. All it has to do now is double that budget. I think in large part due to the fact that it has such a big presence online. While there hasn't been a lot of outside marketing, the bulk of the marketing has been online, and they've been doing a fantastic job at that. Recently Sydney Sweeney read verses from the Bible, and I think that's pretty clever if you ask me. And I think because of the nature and the discourse around the movie, it's also brought up a lot of interest in the film and gotten people going to the theater to go check it out, what all the hubbub is about. It is going to be interesting to see how it does this weekend, as not only is there another new horror film coming out this weekend, but it's also, funny enough, about nuns. Isn't that a wacky coincidence there? So definitely going to be interesting. Hopefully we'll see if they both can hold hand in hand together, not eat at each other's box office, but that does seem rather likely given both those movies being so similar to each other. So we'll see what happens with this movie. We'll see if it can still put up a good fight at the box office. But otherwise, yeah, this movie's still performing very well. Definitely a sleeper hit right now. I'm very curious to see where it goes from here. Number 4 was, funny enough, Kung Fu Panda 4, making $10 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $151 million and a worldwide total of $347 million. Kung Fu Panda 4 still putting up a good fight, even though that is still rather to be expected. Once again, only animated film out right now, and the word of mouth is still going very strong. It surpassed a couple of milestones. For example, it surpassed the entire domestic gross of Kung Fu Panda 3. It is now just about $10 million over that film, and is just a little over $10 million away from surpassing Kung Fu Panda 2's entire domestic total, which is absolutely insane to think about. I'm not sure if it's going to reach the heights of the first Kung Fu Panda. I just think that's a bit of a reach for the film to get to right now. But the fact that this could possibly be the second highest grossing film in the franchise domestically is still a big accomplishment, seeing how this franchise was in its prime facing diminishing returns. To see, surpassing those prior installments is rather exceptional. And while I'm not sure if it's going to reach the heights of those predecessors worldwide, that's where it's falling behind. This is still a very solid total. It's about to get to, it's certainly about to cross 400 million worldwide, and there's a chance it could even reach 500 million worldwide, even though it might just get close to Kung Fu Panda 3's worldwide total or just barely get over it. I still think that would be a big accomplishment, especially given the $85 million budget. And once again, as I touched on earlier when discussing this film, only animated film out right now for the next 2 months. That's right, this movie still has 2 months pretty much all to itself. The next animated movie isn't out until Memorial Day weekend. This movie is gonna eat up the family movie audience for the next couple months for sure. So yeah, still a long journey ahead for Kung Fu Panda 4. While it slowly but surely will be losing that audience, it's still going to maintain its core audience because of that. Yeah, not much more else to say except Kung Fu Panda 4 is still doing really good. Number 3 was Dune Part 2, making $11 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $252 million and a worldwide total of $626 million. This movie is still going strong, as it is now $50 million away from surpassing the $300 million milestone domestically, And given how close it is to that milestone, and given how April, while I won't say is a dry season, is looking a bit softer than March in terms of big scale movies, I think it's safe to say that Dune will definitely surpass that milestone very quickly, as well as the $700 million milestone worldwide. That is, it's also been doing very well internationally, and seeing as it has now already surpassed the $600 million milestone worldwide, it seems very likely that it will also surpass that milestone as well. And also, yeah, it surpassed the $600 million milestone worldwide, the second film for Timothy Chalamet to do so back to back. I mean, you gotta imagine how Timothy is feeling. Just two of your most recent movies back to back surpassing these milestones. Just absolutely insane numbers for that man. And also, given how much the last one made, huge increase over that film and of course the budget. This is definitely a big expensive movie, almost $200 million, although to be fair, this actually does feel like a near $200 million movie, and it's making this type of money. Definitely you gotta the people making this, especially Warner Brothers, must feel happy about this. So yeah, once again, overall, great solid numbers here. Looking forward to seeing how much further this movie can go. Definitely going to be slowing down very soon, even with the lack of competition in April. But yeah, this is still without a doubt the biggest movie of the year for a reason. Number 2 was Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, making $15 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $73 million and a worldwide total of $108 million. So this movie took a big hit this weekend. It fell 65% from last weekend, which is not great to see. I guess if you were Sony, you'd probably hope that this movie would have done a lot better than this, but unfortunately the word of mouth has just not been great for this movie. Audiences aren't really connecting with this and clearly do not want to see more of the Ghostbusters again. I'm sorry to say that, but I'm not even sure if this is going to be able to double that $100 million budget, as internationally this doesn't really play as well as it does stateside. And stateside, this movie isn't even really bringing out most of the Ghostbusters fans. This looks like a pretty big disappointment. It is a disappointment to a lot of people who went to see it, which is why the word of mouth is so bad. And unfortunately, this is just looking like it's going to be a disappointment once again for Sony. Just, it opened solid enough, yeah, but unfortunately the movie wasn't good enough to encourage people to go recommend it to other people or go see it another time. Even with spring break across the country and more people available, it just doesn't seem like people wanted to go check out Ghostbusters. So yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. Who knows? Maybe it'll get close to the doubling point and just barely escape being a flop, but this is definitely going to be a big financial disappointment. Unfortunately, this does not look like it's going to be what Ghostbusters Afterlife was. This is looking like, once again, a pretty big financial disappointment. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, opening with $80 million this weekend domestically and $194 million worldwide. This is the second biggest opening of the year, just a little under Dune Part 2's number 1 opening. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it was able to surpass Kung Fu Panda 4, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and Bob Marley One Love. It is also the second biggest opening in the MonsterVerse franchise. It's behind the 2014 Godzilla film, but it was able to top Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Godzilla vs. Kong, which was a hybrid release released under the pandemic. Folks, last weekend when I was discussing this film, I was like, yeah, this movie's probably going to do good, and it's probably going to get close to Dune, but there's no way it's going to get, dangerously close, or, its chances of surpassing it are really, really low. Folks, this movie was just $2 million away from surpassing Dune's $82 million opening. That's right, $2 million. We were about to have another record-breaking opening for 2024. I guess because of Easter, that's what kind of hindered it a bit, but still, the fact that this was almost about to beat Dune already is just mind-blowing to see, as expectations were like, yeah, the movie's probably going to do good, but it's not going to be a big money maker. But clearly those expectations were wrong. Even I feel like I lowered my expectations a bit, and I had some pretty modest expectations for this movie. It seemed like the interest for this movie was way bigger than a lot of people expected it to be. I guess people just really love seeing these monsters, these characters, of course, fighting and causing so much collateral damage to famous cities, and just causing chaos and destruction everywhere they go. And with this being a team up movie, fans were really eager to see Godzilla and King Kong team up to face off a new threat. And also, as I briefly discussed with Ghostbusters, it was also spring break, so a lot more people were available and more out of the house, out of school pretty much, and they also took this time to go see this movie, and I think that really helped it out as well. Worldwide, this movie's almost about to surpass $200 million. Again, incredible to see, not just because it's about to surpass this milestone so quickly, but also, the budget of this is only $135 million, so it's already surpassed its initial budget, and I'm sure it's going to double it within the next week or so, as we're heading into April. And as I talked with Dune, it's looking to be a bit of a slow month for huge tentpole movies. I'm not saying like none of them are going to make any money. I'm sure there's going to be one movie, or at least a couple, that go, oh wow, this movie did way better than expected. But compared to March, the competition isn't as big. So I think it's safe to say that Godzilla x Kong is really going to carry April. This is definitely the movie of the moment right now. Sorry, Dune, but this is definitely the movie that I think everyone is going to rush out to go and see multiple times. It's really going to be the one that everyone talks and quotes about right now. And yeah, obviously we're off to a fantastic start for Godzilla x Kong, and I look forward to seeing how much further the movie can go. The word of mouth on this is also really solid. It got an A- cinema score, which is actually the second best in the franchise under Godzilla vs. Kong. All the other films got B pluses, so this is an improvement. This is definitely a good sign of things to come for this movie for sure. And yeah, overall a great start, and I'm looking forward to seeing how much further this movie can go. Yeah, great opening weekend all around. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet, as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend we have 2 new wide releases, the first being, funny enough, The First Omen, a new horror film that is also centered around the Omen horror franchise. Now, I can see this movie going either way. I can see this movie surprising and also disappointing. Horror has not been off to a great start this year. Night Swim, Imaginary, and while Immaculate is doing well against its budget and for the type of movie it is, it isn't making the big bucks that some of the other big horror films last year did, Megan or Evil Dead Rise. And there are ways I can see this movie slightly improving, but not to the scale of those movies. For starters, once again, it's centered around the Omen franchise. The Omen is one of the most beloved horror films of all time, and because it has that name attached to it, it has that franchise attached to it, I think it'll intrigue some people's interest. Add on to the fact that of the timing of the film's release, coming out early April around Easter, I think the filmmakers knew what they were doing with that release for sure. And it doesn't look like the movie costed that much, so I'm sure it's not going to lose a lot of money for the studio. And add on to the fact that the marketing has been pretty solid. I've been seeing some ads and stuff for it here and there for sure. The downside though is that I'm not seeing a lot of buzz for the film. I'm seeing some people talk about it here and there. Maybe it's just my perspective, but I don't know. I'm not seeing a lot of people's interest for this movie at high levels, if you know what I mean. I don't see a lot of people talking about it really. And once again, we just had another movie about another horror movie about nuns that just came out, so I'm not sure if a lot of people are more eager to go check out. Oh, there's another one. Yeah, this is more mainstream, but coming out so soon after the other one might hurt this movie a bit. And there's another horror movie 2 weeks after this one. Just a lot of competition for this movie to face off. So yeah, definitely gonna be an interesting movie to see where it does. And then the other new wide release is Monkey Man, an action film by new time director Dev Patel. This movie has an interesting story. It was picked up by Netflix back in 2021, but then I guess they just didn't know what to do with it. But then Jordan Peele saw the film, and then through the help of Universal was able to give this movie a wide theatrical release, which is always, I'm here for small little victories like this, small little success stories like this. And I think this movie's gonna be its own little success story, as I see a lot of things working for this film. When the trailer dropped, everyone everyone was talking about it. I even me, when it was one of the first trailers that where it immediately ended, and I went, wow, I cannot wait to see that. And a lot of people shared the same sentiment. The buzz has been very strong for this movie. I think we're going to see a better than expected opening. I don't think it's going to be the first film to top Godzilla x Kong, mind you, but I do think we're going to see a solid opening here. Again, the buzz is very strong. The marketing has been excellent. That trailer was great, and I've been seeing a lot of ads. They even gave it a Super Bowl promo, which I think definitely boosted some of the interest. And given how slow April is, I think this is definitely going to be one of the few quote unquote major hits for the month. It seems like this is one of the few movies that has a lot of people interested. And yeah, I see a lot of things working for this. I think this could be a small little hit for itself, but we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.